What is up, Terror Talk fans? I'm your host, Jeremy, and today we are here on episode 35. That's right, episode 35, ladies and gentlemen, where we are talking all about Paranoia Haunted House and giving our 2021 haunt review for this haunt season. So we are just going to dive right in. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get down to business. So, on Friday, October 1st, Paranoia Haunted House opened their doors to their first unsuspecting victims for the 2021 haunt season, with their two all-new houses for the season, The Void and Suffering. This haunted attraction has been a major haunted attraction in Canton, Georgia since 2010. This was a haunted house that we found while just hunting down other attractions to visit, and we were just absolutely ecstatic when we found this one, because it was a lot of fun for us. We went last year, and we went for my brother's birthday, and me and my brother got to go through, and we had an absolute blast. So not after only attending last year's event, but also their Midsummer Night Scream event in July of this year, we now had a chance to return to Paranoia for the official haunt season. So we were very, very excited, very honored, humbled that we got to do that. And we got to be there not just for this new haunt season, but we got to attend on opening night. This is something that we haven't gotten to do too much of this year. We've had a couple opening night ceremonies we've attended, and so it's a lot of fun for us to get to do that. It's very cool to see how a haunt kind of kicks off the haunt season. So we're very glad we got to attend this year. Glad we got to be there for opening night. It was so much fun. They did a whole thing, the countdown to the hour, 8 o'clock, and then when the countdown finally hits 0 and it's 8 o'clock, the fireworks get shot up in the air, the monsters come out, and we're going to talk about this very shortly here as well as we dive into everything. But it really, really is such a fun time, such a cool time. We really enjoyed ourselves, so we're excited. But, we have to break everything down. We got to be fair, so we're going to just kind of break everything down here about the haunted house. And we're going to be looking at things, would we see things that from last year, would they reappear this year? Or would we be left in shock at the detail work of the team? Or maybe would we leave feeling underwhelmed and feel like we were back at square one? But there's only one way to truly find that out. So without further ado, it is time to break down Paranoia Haunted House. This year's reviews, we are breaking down each haunt into 6 categories, and those categories are going to be sets, costumes, makeup, and special effects, technical effects, scares, pacing, and actors. Each category is rated on a scale of 1 to 5 screams, and then averaged to give an overall rating. This new system is to ensure that we are not in any way biased and are giving each attraction that we visit the same fair and equal rating that they deserve. So because this particular haunt has 2 attractions, we're actually going to be breaking down each one. So we're going to take a score for one haunt, score for the other one, add them together and divide it by 2, and that average is going to be the overall for each category. So a little bit different, a little bit more math we got to do here, but fun nonetheless. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see what happens. So let's just start off with some initial thoughts. So when you first arrive at Paranoia, you know that you're going to be in for something different. You don't really know what that something different is, but you know it's going to be a lot of fun because you arrive, you see this great big empty store building with this awesome banner at the top that reads Paranoia. You see a short little bus that has Paranoia Haunted House. You see a sign with lights on it that says Paranoia. You see this big spotlight shining up into the sky. And you see this fence. It's not a very tall fence. You can actually, if you're standing next to it, peer right over and see above it. But it's enough to leave you kind of in suspense about what is happening on the other side of this fence, and they keep it closed until it is time for everything to get off to the races. So they're very good about that, very good about building this sort of suspense for their audience, because they want to just kind of hold you on that leash until the absolute last possible second. It's fantastic. And so then that's when the fun starts. You start waiting, and about 15 minutes to rope drop, you hear this big voice come over the speaker saying 15 minutes. Then you hear 10 minutes. Then you hear 5 minutes. And then he gets a little funny and he starts being like, 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 15 seconds, 1 minute, 45. Like, you just constantly going down, 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 down until finally they do it like a full New Year's Eve countdown. They're like 10, 9, 8, 7, all the way to 1. And then they launch off the fireworks. And it is so much fun. They shoot off all these fireworks. The gate kind of flies open. The monsters come running out. Up on top of the house itself, they've got fire effects that are shooting up. Like, it is really, really cool. It's a great time. And then once that gate opens, everybody just runs for it. Everybody runs for either the ticket booth or the haunted house, and it is really, really cool. So that's out front, and that's kind of like your before part of getting in the house. Well, then you have the midway, which comes after you exit both houses. So when you exit both houses, you get dumped out into a gift shop, and then after the gift shop is the midway, where they have carnival games and dancing lights and fog machines, bubble machines, music, all sorts of fun stuff going on. It's a lot of fun, and everybody's having a good time. You got monsters running around, they're dancing in the midway. If you go out in front of the haunt, they're not dancing, they're going around scaring people. It's so much fun. I absolutely love it, and it's always just such a great experience for us. Now, if I do have to pick one negative, if I have to like be nitpicky and try to find the negative thing and everything, there is one negative, and that is when you go into the midway. So you come out of one house and you're out on the midway. The only way to get back into the next house is you have to go outside the gate and walk around to the front of the fence again to get in line for the haunt. So that's a little bit of a disappointing kind of thing that they do. But I mean, it's a small price to pay. But it would be a lot easier if you got to stay kind of within the compounds, within the compound, if you will. That would be a little more user-friendly, I think. And it would help to kind of distinguish from guests who have already come out of the house versus guests who are just now getting there. And I personally think it would help if they did it that way. Maybe they do. Maybe they've done it that way on other nights, and there's a big reason they don't do it. I don't know. But that's my only negative thing that I have to say. Other than that, everything is so much fun. You got the monsters, you got photo ops. There's so much to take pictures of and just have a good time with. Like, these guys know how to show you a good time, and I guarantee you, when you leave with a smile on your face. It is so much fun. So now let's start breaking it down into our various categories. So we're going to start off with sets. So for The Void, we gave The Void 4 out of 5, and we gave Suffering 4 out of 5 for sets, leading to a total of 4 out of 5 screams for sets overall. So the set work at Paranoia is nothing short of amazing. It truly is awesome, and you can tell from the get-go that they really put a lot of detail. Like, you can look at a pipe and run your hand up a pipe, and it will have the grime on it as if it's been aged for years down there. And so when you enter the void, you actually feel like you were in some sort of underground military base lab thing. There's test tubes, there's cells, there's pipes. Everything feels very industrial and very impressive, and they have worked very hard to create that sort of environment, and they do a very good job with that. Then when you enter suffering, you feel like you've entered some backwoods bayou. There's full-scale cabins with functioning doors. You get this feel of the swamp. There's trees and shrubbery. The setting is really, really awesome. And then at one point you go through somebody's house, and they went as far as to even theme out the floors in there. Like, it's really, really kind of awesome. But the reason I docked a point for each one is because while the general storyline of each haunt did change, it did not appear to me that the sets changed at all. In fact, everything seemed very, very much the same as what it has been in the past. Now, I know some people will say, it's the grand old phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, if we're going to continuously revisit these haunts, and you're planning on repeat customers from years past, you want to give them a different experience from the year before. And, maybe they did that in terms of having different characters and such. But for me personally, I want to see different sets. I want to be taken to new environments, because you have a whole year you can be working on this. And that's the beauty of it, is you can do some modifications for one. Say that they do a Christmas show and a Valentine's show and a summer show. Say they do 3 additional shows as well as the haunt season show. They can kind of be changing things and incorporate that change into the new show until you get back around to the new haunt season where the whole show is changed again. And I feel like that alone would be awesome. And like I said, the set work is still immaculate. It is still next to none. And it's very, very impressive. They put so much detail into things, but I just want to see that same level of detail and caliber put into some new things. I want to go to some new locations. I want to see what the team at Paranoia can bring us next. And so for that, we gave them a 4 out of 5, and I would say Paranoia earned that beautifully. They did a very good job, and they should be proud of themselves. So then we have costumes, makeup, and special effects. So The Void, we gave them a 5 out of 5, and Suffering, we gave them a 5 out of 5, totaling up to 5 out of 5 screams. So anybody who is anyone can agree that the costumes and makeup are things that make up the haunts. And Paranoia does some great things with their costumes and their makeup team. And there's not really much to say other than wow. I mean, they do some remarkable things to create some really interesting, unique characters throughout their attractions. And there's just so much detail that goes into a haunt of this caliber, and that is very apparent. It's very evident. You can see it. You can see the makeup. You can see the costumes, and you can see how they play well with each of their environments, with the lighting, with the sets. And what's more, I've heard people say oh, a reason makeup and costumes may not look good is because the actors will sweat the makeup off or something like that. This is not a place where that really happens. Everybody seems to be keeping that makeup on. They seem to be rolling with it. They're doing a great job with it. And it is really quite extraordinary to me. They're doing some really, really great things. And I am just dumbfounded at how amazing of work they do there. So, good job on you guys, Paranoia. Your costume, makeup, special effects team. Awesome. Then we come to the mother of all haunted houses now, it seems, technical effects. So in The Void, we gave them a 5 out of 5, and in Suffering, we gave them a 5 out of 5 as well, leading to 5 out of 5 screams. So, Paranoia uses these technical effects to their advantage. They use them to the max, and they have utilized them in many different ways to elicit scares and also create ambiance. And you feel like you are literally in a film, if you will. So, like, when you enter the void, you crawl through this sort of trash compactor like door. Like, the actor will press a button and it literally opens slowly, and you have to kind of scrunch down and not crawl through, but walk very like hunched over to get through it, and then the door closes behind you. And that right there, like, already amazing. As you continue through, you pass by these prison cells of sorts, and they're all kind of like CGI screens and stuff, and it looks like there's people behind them, and you get the little bursts of air that scare the crap out of people when you do it. And it's really impressive to me. And then my favorite part of just Paranoia in general is the running water aspect that they have. So you go to this one scene, and there's literally a pool, and water is running down into it, and there's an actor kind of sitting in the pool or up above the pool, and the water will explode sort of and splash up everywhere and get on the pathway, and it'll sometimes splash the people going through it. And I just think that's such a neat, unique touch that you don't get that everywhere else. It's very difficult to perform that type of effect. So good on them for doing that. I really think it's awesome. And then, apart from that, you have these awesome animatronics. There's literally a scene, you go up some stairs, and there is this, Lord, I don't even know, like 10, 15 foot tall animatronic that is literally standing before you. It might be taller than that. It probably is taller than that. And it's moving, it's gnashing its teeth, it's wailing, it's doing all this awesome stuff. It is so incredible, the detail that is put into it, and that they are able to achieve these things. And of course, then you also have the lighting, the fog, and the sound. Like, that is crucial in creating this ambiance of fear and scaring you to death. Whenever you're going through the void, there's this soundtrack that is very military sounding. It's very, like, almost kind of like brassy and big marching sort of sound. And then it conveys this real intensity as you go through. You feel like we're in danger. We need to go. We need to move. Like, this is urgent. Then, in contrast, you go over to Suffering, and there's this very ominous soundtrack. A lot of strings, very kind of in the background, a lot of synth. And it's just kind of like whole chords, cluster chords for my music people. Like, very minor chords, augmented chords, diminished chords, all that stuff that just creates this uneasy feeling, this sort of tension, if you will. And you almost feel like you're kind of entering like a cult film. Like, you're going to go into the backwoods and you're going to see some things that you shouldn't. And you actually do see that in this haunt. Like, it's really awesome. They're just amazing. I mean, in terms of technical effects, they knock it out of the water. I mean, you have this awesome lighting effects that, they just do different things. In the void, there's this really cool room. There's a couple cool rooms, but one of them that sticks out to me is this room where there's lasers kind of going everywhere. And that right there is always such a cool room for me to go into. Then there's another room that I think, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of glowing green and purple, and it's got like these black lights that are making it glow. And it's such a cool effect. It really, really is. And they do a phenomenal job. And I can't say enough great things about them. It really is impressive to me. I think it is one of those really big grabs for Paranoia because, like I said, you feel like you are entering into a film of sorts, like a sci-fi film or a cult film. You're entering into your own personal horror film, and it's really, really something. All right, we're going to take a short little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the scares, the pacing, and the actors. Then we'll deliver our overall rating and tell you how you can buy your tickets today for Paranoia Haunted House. Don't go anywhere. Hey there, Terror Talk fans. Are you looking for a new way to let your voice be heard? If so, check out our friends at Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for creating your very own podcast. They offer editing tools to create your podcast, which include your audio, listener audio, unique transitions, and custom advertisements. In addition, they'll also help you distribute your podcast to other listener sources, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. With this unique app, you also have the chance to get paid for your podcast by simply placing ads for various sponsors in your videos. Best part of it all? It is 100% free. Anchor does all the work for you and makes podcasting as simple as turning on a light. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Whether you're new to podcasting, doing it as a hobby, or hosting a professional show, Anchor is the place for you. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on episode 35 of the Terror Talks, where today we are talking all about Paranoia Haunted House and their 2021 haunt season. This is their official review from us for this season. So before the break, we were talking about the technical effects, the costumes, makeup, and special effects, and the sets. Now we're going to talk about the scares, pacing, and the actors and team. So let's start off with the scares. So for The Void, we rated it a 3 out of 5 screams, and Suffering was a 4 out of 5 screams, giving it a total of 3.5 out of 5 screams.
Oh no, not this room! Closet! Oh god, no, not the closet! I hate the closet! Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh.
So the scares in any haunted house are very, very important, and Paranoia did have some great scare moments for us, but it also failed to deliver in some places as well. And I would actually say that one haunted house is definitely scarier than the other, and I imagine that it's probably meant to be this way, but at the same time I cannot know for sure. I cannot speak on behalf of the company, but in my personal opinion, Suffering was a lot scarier than The Void, and there's a couple reasons I say this. In The Void, there's a lot more technological scares going on. There's puffs of air being shot at you there's a electrical box that will start, kind of popping and whatnot, making popping noises. And so that is kind of how that haunt is using scares. It's more technical scares. But then you go into Suffering, and there's actual actors in there. You actually come in contact with physical people. And not only that, this haunt is naturally more dark than the other one. So there is not nearly as many lights throughout. And so it's very difficult to see. There's one room that I went through where you're basically going through a closet, and on either side of you there are clothes on hangers. And this is the one scene that got me really good. This was the best scare I got the whole night there. We were going down the hallway. It was pitch black. I couldn't really tell where the end of the hallway was and where we needed to turn and go back down the other way. And an actor turns a flashlight on his face and scares the absolute shit out of me. Like, I could have cried from how much I got scared right there. Like, it actually scared me to death. And I just kind of screamed as loud as I could. I was like, oh my God. And of course, the people behind me got a kick out of it. And then the very next actor tried to do the exact same thing. But luckily, I could see her because she was a little closer to where some more natural lighting was coming from. So that kind of helped me a little bit. So I didn't get scared twice. But after that scare, I was on my guard for the rest of the haunt. And so I would definitely say the Void was not nearly as scary. It was definitely more of the scenic house with a couple scares in it. Suffering was meant to actually scare you. And that has actually been the case lately with several haunted houses that we visited in the past. You know, one haunt is meant to kind of show off, hey, here's what we can do. Whereas another one might be more, here, we want to scare you. And so it's important to kind of be able to know which one is which. And so that leaves the scares overall at a 3.5 out of 5 screams. So it's not too terribly scary, but at the same time, it's not necessarily for the faint of heart either. So now we're going to talk about the pacing of the two haunts. So we have The Void, we rated it a 4 out of 5, and Suffering a 4 out of 5, bringing us to a total of 4 out of 5 screams for pacing.
Hi there. Aren't you just a...
Oh yeah.
And now she's got an upside down cross on her forehead. We're just gonna keep going. Oh, hi. Say it, don't spread. Want me a keeper?
So the pacing is very important in any house, and whatever you say about your haunted house, you want to make sure that that is true. Paranoia has a small problem, in my opinion, with their pacing. And what I mean by that is the houses are not super long. In fact, we were able to walk through both of them in about 8 minutes each, about 8, maybe 9 minutes, but they were both under 10 minutes. And that's kind of what gets me a little bit, because as you go through both, you're pretty much constantly moving. You never stop. You don't really take a moment to take anything in. And those actors are consistently pushing you through, scaring you into the next room. Which, yes, that is a great thing. It's very important to do that. But at the same time, you know, it takes away from some moments that you might want to see. It makes the haunt experience a lot less longer. Like, it's not long at all. So in my particular opinion, you know, I want the houses to be long. I want to go in there and I want to have like a 20-minute walkthrough, or, you know, no less than 10 though. Like 20, 25, I'm good with that. Anything under 10, that's where I get a little antsy. I'm like, oh, that was a little bit too short. Like, I expected it to be much longer than that. And so, you know, I want it to be a long house. And, you know, I understand that there may not be any room to make the houses a whole lot longer, but maybe they could kind of put their heads together to come up with some way of increasing the length in some way. Because that's what disappointed me. Was I was in, I was out, And that was it. And on top of that, I was with a group of people. So, with a group of people, sometimes you take longer to go through than if you go through by yourself. And that was the case. We went through really, really quick. And so maybe it had to do with the group I was with, but I really don't think it was. I think it is just the sheer fact that the haunt naturally is a short one. So I do wish there was a way they could increase that length just a little bit, make it a little longer, kind of just give you a little bit more bang for your buck. Because, tickets aren't cheap at any haunted house. And, of course, Paranoia is no exception to that rule. They're reasonable, but you want to get a decent amount of haunt for the price that you pay. Now, I will say one positive side is the line moves pretty quick for each haunt, and I think that has to do with the fact that you have so many groups just constantly moving through, and they're constantly pushing you through. So you get through the line very quick, you get in the house pretty quick, and you don't wait there very long. So the team does very good in that regard, and very, very good on them for that. So awesome. So finally, we have the actors and the team. So for The Void, I gave them a 4 out of 5, and for Suffering, I gave them a 5 out of 5, giving us a total of 4.5 out of 5 screams.
I think we're going towards the orange light. Because when a floating orange light is guiding the way, that's always a good idea. Which way?
So the actors and team that work together for any haunted house, they create a stellar experience for their guests. That's why they work together. And of course, Paranoia is no exception to that rule. Throughout each of the haunts, all of the actors remained in character, remained true to the end. Nobody broke their character in any way, shape, or form, and they were all 100% devoted throughout. And I will literally tell you that these actors have some serious devotion. There was one room where there was a girl kind of like elevated up in the air around some bars and stuff, and she was doing some like gymnastic stuff up there, like doing splits on it and flipping upside down and this and that. Like, it was really, really impressive. I was like, geez, how is she doing that? Because I honestly have no idea how she pulled that off. But, hey, more power to her. So, I will say, though, the reason that the haunt did not get a solid 5 out of 5 screams is a very, very nitpicky thing. But it has to do with something that occurred in the void. So, obviously, everyone knows when you go through a haunt that you want to immerse your audience. You don't want to take away from anything. So when you set foot into that realm, that world, the location that you are trying to convey, you want to make sure that nothing from the outside world seeps in and takes away from that. When I was inside the void, there was, very early on, a section of the haunt. Everything else was dark and the show lights were on. There was one section of the haunt where you could clear as day see the work lights. You could see the work lights, you could see the backstage area. And let me tell you, that's all I could focus on in that moment. And maybe I'm the only one. Maybe it's because I am that nitpicky and I am looking for those little details. But it took away from the scenes that I was walking through because all I could think of was, I am looking into the backstage area. I am seeing it with my eyes. Wow. And the reason that I put this on the actors and the team is because maybe it was a flaw on one of the actors or team members' fault they left the light on. And so that's why I put it here, because that's one thing you got to be sure you hide to the best of your ability. Usually your sets hide everything pretty well. Usually the lights aren't even on anywhere in a haunt. I've never come across this problem before. This is a first for me, actually. But that should show you just how severe of a problem that can be. Because if you have a lot of people who are very keen on the details, who are very good at keeping an eye out for little things like that, that will distract from the entire show. And if I come through a haunt, I've paid, let's just say I paid $30 for this haunt, and I see the backstage area for a part of it. So I've missed part of the show because I'm focused on this backstage area now. That is a bit of a problem. So, nonetheless, I think they need to find a way to hide those lights. And maybe this was a one-time thing. Maybe it was an anomaly. Maybe it was something that has never happened before in their life, and somebody just forgot to flip a switch that night. And I understand that accidents happen, but my reviews are based upon the experience that I had, so I have to include this to remain true to my philosophy of how I grade these haunts. So a suggestion that I will make is, how about maybe changing the lights from this pure white fluorescent light, maybe putting some blues and reds back there, kind of like a backstage at a theater performance. If you put some blues and reds back there, it provides enough light for anybody who's roaming about the backstage area, but won't take away from the scene. Because, if I saw blue and red lights, I'd think, oh, it's just another part of the haunt. It's just lights reflecting. That's what I would think. I would think nothing more of it, because it would blend into everything else that is happening. But because it was this bright white fluorescent, that's what threw me. That's what made me go, that is not part of the show. And I can tell you without a doubt it's not. So that's just one thing, if possible, I would personally fix. And like I said, I know it could have just been an anomaly, something that's never happened before. But it's one of those little details that the team has to pay attention to. And they've got to be mindful of that. So, like, if you're about to start up the show, you need to double check, make sure, are all the lights off? Is backstage hidden? If you can see the audience can see you. Same kind of principle applies here. So I do encourage y'all to fix it in any way possible, or if this is one of those one and done type of things where it will never happen again, ensure that it doesn't happen again. Because I would hate for somebody else to come through and have that same experience happen to them, where they see these lights and it just takes away from the draw of the scene. Because that's the other thing. You don't want to take away from whatever that grab is in that particular scene. So just something to consider, something to be mindful of, and something to make sure, just cover your bases and make sure it doesn't happen again. So let's review to give our overall rating. For the sets, we have a 4 out of 5 screams. For costumes, makeup, and special effects, we have a 5 out of 5 screams. For technical effects, we have 5 out of 5 screams. For scares, we have 3.5 out of 5 screams. For pacing, we have 4 screams. And for actors and team, we have 4.5 out of 5 screams. So this brings our grand total to, drumroll please, 4 out of 5 screams. That's right, so we rated Paranoia Haunted House as a 4 out of 5 screams attraction. So this was a great way for us to kick off our evening of North Georgia haunts. So for many of you who don't know, if you pay attention to our social media and such, you know that on this particular night that we visited Paranoia, we also visited 3 other haunts that evening. And so that was kind of our little mini trip, if you will. Not a mini trip, that's not the right word. But we sort of had like a little North Georgia tour of haunted houses. So we went to 4 different ones in a random order and visited each one. And we're going to be giving our reviews on that. So this is like part 1 of our North Georgia haunted house tour. But it was really awesome for us to kick off our evening this way. We had an awesome time. We had an amazing trip, and we're very privileged that we got to attend opening night for Paranoia. Like, that right there in and of itself was just awesome for us. And so I highly encourage everybody to attend this haunt, check it out for yourself. I guarantee that you're going to have a great time. And, send us in your thoughts. Let us know what you thought, if you agree with us. We want to hear what you have to say about these haunts. We want to hear if you agree with us or not. If you're somebody who scares easily, this is for you. If you're somebody who can truly appreciate those intricate details, this is also for you. There is so much happening here for you, and you're going to have a great time. So I highly encourage you to go. Congratulations, Paranoia, for putting on another stellar show and for kicking off this awesome season of haunts. I think you guys have truly earned your place amongst the group of haunts. You did a great job, and I can safely say I'm very, very, very excited to see what 2022 is going to bring for us, because we've seen what 2021 can do, and it was awesome. So I can't wait to see what we get next. So check it out while you can, and be sure to let them know that the Terror Talk sent you. So if you want to purchase tickets to Paranoia, we have some information for you. So you can purchase your tickets online, or you can purchase them when you arrive at Paranoia Haunted House. All tickets are good for any date in the haunt season, so remember that. If you want to get a combo ticket, this will get you access to both The Void and Suffering. You can buy this for $35, so you can buy your tickets online and skip the ticket line altogether. And you can also buy them on site if you want from the box office, but I highly encourage you to do it online because it'll just be a lot faster for you. So a combo ticket for both attractions is $35. If you only want to visit the main attraction, so that is The Void, it's only going to be $25. If you want to pick up the VIP Paranoia Pass, that's going to be $50. So this pass allows patrons to bypass the regular queue line and gain admission directly into the houses. So this will significantly reduce your wait time. Now, depending on when you go and depending on what is happening that evening, you probably don't necessarily need this. We didn't need it. We were in and out in like less than an hour, I think. So sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. Kind of gauge it with your best judgment. If you know you're going to be getting there later in the evening, I would probably go ahead and buy it, because that means there's probably going to be a lot more people there the later in the evening you go. That's the issue you're probably going to run into. They also do special rates for groups of 20 victims or more. You can get a combo ticket for a sinister price of $25 each. The group rate will automatically apply when you add at least 20 combo tickets to your cart online, or you can get it at the box office by mentioning it and buying the full group's tickets in one transaction. Do you have a large group and want to talk about group rates? You can email them at info@paranoiahaunt.com or message them on their Facebook page, and we're going to get you some information on that shortly. So, Paranoia Haunted House will be open on select evenings from October 1st through October 31st. Every night, the attraction will open at 8 p.m. and will end at a different time depending on which evening that you are attending. You can follow their social media for more information and to keep up with them. Their Facebook is Paranoia Haunted House, @ParanoiaHaunt. Their Instagram is @Paranoia Haunted House. Their Twitter is @ParanoiaHaunt13. Their website is www.paranoiahaunt.com. And their location, they are located at 2075 Marietta Highway, Canton, Georgia, 30114. So be sure to go check out Paranoia Haunted House this season and let us know what you think. Maybe you're not going to agree with us on our ratings, and we encourage you to send in your personal thoughts and your personal ratings after you get to check things out. We invite you to play along at home and kind of interact with us. This is fun for us. We love to discuss your thoughts versus our thoughts. We've gotten to do that already with several groups, and that has been a lot of fun. So that is going to do it for us today on episode 35 of the Terror Talks, talking about Paranoia Haunted House. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button down below, where you can get access to all of our content. You can listen to us on all of the listening platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Anchor, and a collection of other ones. They're all listed down in the description below. If you want to keep up with all of our written haunt reviews and just check out what we're doing, you can go check out our website. We are at www.theterrortalks.wixsite.com/website. And if I didn't get that right, the correct one is going to be in the description. So just look in the description for that as well. You can also check out our Patreon if you want to give us just a little bit of extra love. You know, we would love to have some extra support. You can check out the packages we offer there and what each one is going to get you access to. Also, you can follow us on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I believe we have a Snapchat still. I haven't been on it in a long time, but I believe we do still have the Snapchat. We have a TikTok now as well. So we have all of these social medias. You can check us out. We would love to gain some followers on all of them. It would be absolutely amazing if you would go on there, check us out, follow, comment, all that good stuff. Finally, if you want to contact us and, just talk, maybe you want to be on the show, we're open. We want to hear from you guys. We love to talk to you guys. You can shoot us an email at theterrortalks@gmail.com, or you can message us directly on any of our social medias. We will check every single thing. If you send us a message on any of these things, we will get back to you in a very timely manner. We're very good about that. We don't like to leave any of you guys hanging, so we will check on you. We will get in touch with you. But that is going to do it for us today on the Terror Talks for episode 35, where we talked about Paranoia Haunted House and their 2021 Haunt Review. Tune in next time on episode 36, where we're going to be talking about Folklore Haunted House. And then on episode 37, we'll be talking about Containment Haunted House as we continue our tour of North Georgia Haunts. Then on episode 38, we'll top off our North Georgia Haunts tour for October 1st. That was the night we went there. We will top it off with Nightmares Gate Haunted House. So we got a lot of fun episodes. And then after that, we've got some fun stuff from our South Carolina haunt tour. We went up there and went to several haunts up there. So much great things. We've got coverage of Scarowinds 2021, Fright Fest 2021, and of course, Halloween Horror Nights 2021. So Halloween Horror Nights 30. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So keep up with us. Talk with us. We'd love to hear from you guys. But thank you guys so much. My name has been Jeremy, and we hope that you have enjoyed the show. Thank you guys for being loyal listeners. We couldn't do it without you. You are what makes the show. So until next time, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. We'll see you in the fog.